In the eternal garden central, Gincho stood among his fellow Ecanti with unprecedented joy illuminating his features. For the first time in his life, he had been recognized, not as merely that Ecanti or some alien, but as Gincho, an individual with a name and worth. A human princess had addressed him directly, shattering years of anonymity under the oppressive hierarchy. "It's not the title that matters," Gincho explained to Alchu and Feshik as they gathered around him. "It's the opportunity it represents." His companions nodded, sharing in his disbelief at the kindness shown by Princess Clara. Kindness they had never expected from humans, least of all from nobility. The Ecanti had long lived under strict hierarchies, both their own and those imposed by humans. Now, for the first time, they glimpsed the possibility of something different, choices of their own making, rather than orders to be followed. Aboard the ship. Aboard the ship later, tensions remained high. The presence of a Royal Marine captain drew curious and suspicious glances from the crew. Commander Redford Collins' name carried weight, ensuring their passage would remain unimpeded. But the formality of military protocol surrounded them like a cage of invisible bars. Gincho maintained his composure despite his inner turmoil, quietly reassuring his companions that they would navigate this challenge as they had so many before. When the time came to address the crowd of Ecanti, Gincho observed the clear lines dividing them. Even in captivity, they maintained their rigid societal structure. The strong separated from the weak, the valued from the discarded. Artists and thinkers stood apart, deemed less worthy in a system that prized practical utility above all else. "I am Gincho," he announced, raising his voice above the murmur of the crowd. "I bring a message." Immediately, challenges erupted. "Why should we listen to you?" shouted one voice, triggering a cascade of arguments throughout the gathering. Gincho waited patiently as chaos reigned. Without leadership, discord was inevitable among those who had been taught only to follow, never to choose. Gincho delivers the message. When the noise finally subsided enough for him to speak again, Gincho stood tall with newfound authority. "I speak on behalf of Princess Clara Astor," he declared, and this time the crowd fell silent. "The princess acknowledges the difficult history between our peoples," Gincho continued, "but wishes you to know this. You are not prisoners here." Surprise flickered across many faces as he delivered the unprecedented message. "She offers you a choice. Remain in the principality under servitude, but with protections and rights, or return to your homes as a gesture of goodwill." Debate among the Ecanti. The announcement sent ripples of disbelief through the crowd. Such choices were rarely offered to the Ecanti. Small groups formed as heated discussions broke out among them. "It must be a trick," some insisted. "Why would they let us choose?" Others questioned the value of returning. And go back to the hierarchy after tasting some freedom? Still others wondered, but is this truly freedom or just a different kind of servitude? The debate raged on, each Ecanti weighing their uncertain future against a familiar past. For many, the very concept of choice was foreign, a luxury they had never been afforded. Meanwhile, in another part of the principality, Wyatt slumped in his chair, overwhelmed by the day's lessons. Papers and books on economics and diplomacy lay scattered across his desk, each representing another burden of his newfound status. "Economics, politics, social hierarchies," he muttered to himself in frustration. "Is this what being a blue blood means? Drowning in ledgers and diplomatic protocols?" Princess Clara entered his chambers with characteristic grace, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "It means understanding the systems you'll one day help guide," she said, settling into a chair opposite him. "Many fresh nobles fall because of hubris or ignorance, especially of economics," Clara explained, her voice measured and patient. "A principality is not just territory, it's people, resources, relationships." Wyatt sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I never thought it would be so complex. Every decision you make will affect countless lives," Clara continued. "A noble who can't grasp that becomes either a tyrant or a puppet. Neither serves their people well." She gestured to the charts and maps spread before them. "I can teach you about cooperative systems, about listening to your subjects. Leadership is as much about trade as it is diplomacy." Evening reflections. As night fell, Both Gincho and Wyatt found themselves contemplating futures neither had imagined possible. For Gincho, recognition had opened doors long thought sealed. For Wyatt, the burden of responsibility revealed depths of governance he was only beginning to fathom. Freedom, Gincho realized, meant nothing without the wisdom to use it. Leadership, Wyatt understood, meant nothing without understanding those you lead. Final crossroads. And so, beneath the same stars, different paths were being considered. Some leading back to familiar chains, others forward into uncertain liberty. All required courage to choose and strength to follow through. The Ecanti stood at a crossroads of their collective destiny, while Wyatt prepared for responsibilities that would shape not only his future, but the futures of all those under his care. In this moment, their stories intertwined in a dance of choice and consequence, freedom and duty, past shadows and future possibilities.